Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and we've got another mock draft video for you guys. Again, this will be for a 12-man team PPR redraft, okay? So make sure you guys are paying attention to that. If you guys have not already, make sure you check out our other mock draft videos and, of course, our rankings with this season coming up. We've already finished one preseason game. Games, excuse me. So that means we kind of have a better understanding of where teams may be. And again, it's the first week. Don't get into so much of the hype that is going out there. You're probably getting all kinds of notifications out there of certain players that are doing well, certain players that aren't performing. Again, a lot of what performed this past weekend, or I guess weekday if you want to count it as well, is really just a lot of the rookies, the fringe players that are really trying to fight for that roster spot. Maybe some battles are going on, but a lot of it is going to be the backups. Now, you'll start to see, where you'll see a lot of the starters really implementing some of their game plans, getting a little bit more familiar with themselves, new players, things like that. You'll start to see happening. So don't get too crazy into this. Now, again, I am going into the second spot of this redraft, okay? So with me, if you guys have watched any of my videos, whether it be this year, last year, the years before, I am always a running back strategy when it comes to the draft. It is probably the safest bet. Now, if you're a more seasoned fantasy player, you might want to kind of mess it around. Maybe get a few different leagues. You want to, maybe do a zero running back, and we'll do a video on that and kind of give you some insight of how you can go about that route. So again, kind of look at what I'm going to do here. Take away whatever you'd like from this video. You can critique it, comment, whatever you want. Again, this is to help you guys with your draft. So let's jump right into this. So again, this is where we're going to go into, obviously, the second pick. So as you can see, most picks are going to be Jonathan Taylor. Makes sense. A lot of you, and I've gotten this question a lot, is should Christian McCaffrey be the second guy, or should there be somebody else? Maybe it should be a Cooper Kupp. Maybe it should be an Austin Eckler, whatever it might be. For me, I am taking the bet with Christian McCaffrey. I know a lot of people are nervous about his injuries, and I understand that. But at this point, you can't predict what's going to happen. Now, I am kind of surprised to see these guys here a little bit. But again, a lot of, especially zero running back strategies, you see Kupp, Chase, Jefferson, those guys dropping real fast. And then, of course, at the end, you'll start to see some more of the receivers and tight ends starting to show up. But again, running backs is where you're going to probably thrive the most if you can get there. Now, on this swing, being that I'm so close to the end, I'm actually not going to end up going to running back. I'll actually go DEEBO because, again, DEEBO is going to be that slash tweener where he is sort of a running back slash receiver. And again, this is PPR. You want to get those rushing touchdowns if he's going to get them. But, of course, the catches and receptions that he is going to absolutely get. Now, if you look at the running back position left, you've got SAQUON, Fournette, Zeke. And these guys kind of scare me in some aspects where the third round's not too horrible in going after them. I've even seen Zeke fall a little bit further than that. I'm not going crazy about Fournette. I'm going to go with the injury guys. I'm going Barkley and McCaffrey. Now, this may end my season pretty early depending on how these guys are. But if they both end up being very healthy, these are two top 5 running backs that are absolutely going to help you win. Especially a back like Barkley and McCaffrey, where these guys are PPR just amazing at their position. They're going to absolutely shred when it comes to the PPR. And they are going to, account for probably 30 to 40% of their offense in general. So I'm going to go that route. Now, you look at the players here, you see quarterbacks starting to take. You saw Josh Allen, you saw Patrick Mahomes, Herbert. I am one of those type of drafters that I can get my quarterback probably in the 9th, 10th round and still probably finish with a top 8 to 5 quarterback and not have to go too early. So I'm going to always go offensive schemes. Now, you look at tight ends, there's not many here. There's a couple options here. You look at receivers, you got Judy, Courtland Sutton, and then, of course, you could go running back again, kind of fill that flex spot. For me, I'm not crazy about these guys here, especially with some of the news with Gibson possibly being a large committee. I'm actually going to end up going Courtland Sutton. I think Sutton's going to be the better receiver in the Denver Broncos offense, so I'm going to go his route. And now I'm going to fill out my team and get a good tight end. For me, Dalton Schultz is going to be the best tight end option when you look at these guys. He's in a high-powered offense. Obviously, the lack of receivers is going to help, obviously, Schultz get a lot of those targets. He's still in a contract year to prove to Dallas that he deserves the big contract. So, again, he's someone who's going to be absolutely hungry and trying to prove it. Now, you look at some of these guys here. again, some of these teams are very similar to my aspect, where you've got some that don't have a quarterback. You've got obviously running backs a little bit later. You got some really solid receivers here, some good options there. A lot more receivers, less running backs. This team's going to worry me in the future. 12th spot's always a little bit difficult. So now looking at this team, again, where's some options I can fill? Now I've got flex, depth, things like that. So for me, I love Juju here. I think Juju's going to be a great option for the Kansas City Chiefs. I love that pick there. And I'm going to go with another running back. Now, Damian Harrison, I'm not crazy for, just because I think Ramondre is going to really be the running back for them. And you look at some of these other options, Kenneth Walker, Cordell Patterson, Pollard, who I love absolutely. I'm actually going to stretch it out and actually go Kenneth Walker here, because I do think, and I hate to say it, but I do think Penny is going to unfortunately deal with some of his soft tissue issues that he always seems to have. Poor guy can't stay healthy for whatever reason. But I like that pick of Kenneth Walker, and an offense that's probably going to run the ball a lot, because it is going to be a team that is going to struggle, and they obviously need some good quarterback play. Now looking at quarterbacks, you're seeing Wilson, you see Hurts, you got Brady, Prescott. A lot of the top tier quarterbacks are running off the board, and that's okay. Like I said, I can go in the 9th, 10th round and really get the quarterback that I want. Now, look at what you see here. You got Knox, you got Lockett, Ayuk, James Cook. I actually like James Cook here. I think he's going to be a great option. And then obviously you see Ayuk, who I really probably have gone after as well. He's a good option in this spot. Now, being in the 9th round, this is where I'm going to go quarterback, because there's a good chance a quarterback falls to a team like this. And obviously some other people like to pick up their backups. I'm going to actually end up going to Derek Carr. I know some people probably end up going Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance is a good option for you as well, just because of his rushing capability. And he looked pretty good in the preseason, but again, we'll see how things go. Now with a turnaround, obviously going towards the end of this, I've got to absolutely fill out my depth. I'm not going to draft kickers or defensive players yet, or excuse me, defensive teams yet, just because I think you can probably get somebody in a better option. Now I'm going to actually add some receivers, because I've got 4 running backs right now. I've got 3 receivers, so I want to add some depth at the receiver position. So you got players like obviously MVS, you got Christian Watson, Gallup, Pickens. For me, again, nothing super crazy. I don't want to reach quite yet. You look at tight end, I think this is a great backup in Cole Kmet. And then you look at running backs, you got Carter, Pierce, and Pierce is going to absolutely fall in my hands. I'm going to take him just because of, I believe he's going to be a guy who's going to get 15 to 20 touches. He looks amazing so far in the preseason. They're hyping him up big time, and I believe that hype. I really do think he's going to be a good option for you. Now, I'm going to actually fill a backup tight end. I actually like Cole Kmet here, just because, again, a lot of people are kind of concerned, but he is going to get a lot of options his way. I really like Cole Kmet a lot, so I'm going to go and draft him. He is going to see probably 15 to 25% of that target share. Well, obviously, Mooney's going to get the most, and they're going to have to throw to him just because the lack of options they have in the passing game for Chicago. And obviously, Fields, I think, is going to have a really good rapport. He had a good one last year. Cole Kmet got a lot of targets. Now you start to see some of the defensive teams get, again, I'm not crazy. I like to stream defensive teams. I think you can get away with that. You'll see some of these top end, kickers like McPherson, Tucker. You see those guys start to fall. Again, I don't necessarily go crazy about that. I am going to look at picking up a backup quarterback. Now, if you know me, watching these videos, I typically do not draft a quarterback, a second quarterback on my team, but I just want to show you a good quarterback option, and obviously in Tua, because again, I think with this offense and what I think is going to, really, happen in this team, I think they're going to really do well. Now, you look at my team, I've got some good running backs. I don't have any really good, solid backup receivers, so this is where I'm going to pick up some of these guys. I like Rondale Moore here, obviously with, DeAndre Hopkins being out for 6 weeks. You've got, Hollywood Brown being there, Rondale Moore, AJ Green. I like this offense still. I think it's still a very, very viable and explosive offense. So for me, I think Rondale Moore, this is really his season to kind of show up and really show out what he can possibly do for this team. So now I've got 5 picks left. Again, it's all about depth. And a lot of times when you start drafting these teams, you guys start thinking, okay, what are my bye weeks looking like, right? And I think a lot of people tend to forget bye weeks. I know sometimes I've done that in my past, because you got to account for what your bye weeks look like. So for me, again, I'm not going to deep dive it into this one, because again, this is just a mock, but typically I start looking, okay, where are my bye weeks? Where are my bye weeks here? All right, let me see what kind of players I can pick up. And the waiver wire exists. Don't be afraid of the waiver wire. I think it's your best friend. The best fantasy owners will absolutely shred on the waiver wire. Now I picked Tolbert here because I like Tolbert's options, because again, he could be the 3rd or 4th option in this high-powered offense. That was obviously number 1 last year. It is a different receiving core. Obviously, offensive line does worry me. I've seen some of the training camp, so it does scare me a little bit, but I still think Tolbert's going to be a great option here. And you start looking at the backups, there's nothing really crazy here. So I can fill more receivers. I can obviously do running backs. And again, I think receivers can be a great option. I like DJ Chark or Romeo Dubs. I think Dubs is going to be a nice little sleeper here, so I'm going to pick him up. Again, if this is Dynasty, Dubs probably would have been taken a lot earlier, but redraft, obviously you're not really sure what's going to happen with him. But he does have some upside with him, and I think with Green Bay, we'll see how it plays out. I could have gone Alec Pierce. I do like KJ Osborne a lot. I think Osborne's going to be a really good one, especially, unfortunately, if Thielen does get hurt. Brian Robinson's a steal right here. A lot of people are sitting. This is the one guy I have not seen go up yet in the mock drafts, but I think with all the news going on with Washington and Gibson starting to fumble and having those issues again, Brian Robinson is absolutely going to skyrocket. Now, here, I'm going to go Alec Pierce to get another wide receiver. I like Alex Pierce as being the second receiver on a pretty good offense. I think that team's going to be really solid because a lot of people are going to be worried about the run game. And I think, obviously, Pittman and Pierce are going to take advantage of that. Now I'm going to draft my kickers in defense. So for my kickers, I like Blankenship. I think he's going to be a great kicker in this offense. Again, I think they're going to get down the field. They have the ability to really score. And now I got to fill out with the defensive teams. Now, there are some of you who probably do individual defensive players. And I love the individual defensive players. One of my longest redraft leagues is in an IDP league, and I absolutely love it. I think it makes the strategy so much better. The strategy is definitely different when you do an IDP league. Now, you look at defensive teams. Obviously, look at these defensive teams here. Nothing crazy about them. I think in New England is probably the best bet here. So, again, this is going to be what I have as far as a second pick option. Now, again, I had some pretty good running backs that with a lot of risk, obviously, and McCaffrey, Barkley, a lot of risk there, but with a lot of upside if they're healthy. I do like the wide receiver options that I was given. I think with the wide receiver options, I was given some good play in obviously a steal in Pierce. I like Sutton. I like DEEBO Samuel, who is going to be there. I do like CARR, who I was able to get a little bit later on. So a lot of upside. Now, let me know in the comments if you guys thought this draft went really well. If you guys didn't think it went really well, don't be afraid to comment down below. If you guys do have questions about your drafts or if you have questions about certain players, check out our rankings or, of course, follow us on our socials. We're on Instagram and Twitter. You can always ask us questions there and, of course, in the comments as well. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and that notification bell is on. That way you guys are notified every time we drop a video just like this. Again, stay tuned. We'll be doing our mock drafts all the way up to the 12th pick. Give you guys some insight. We'll also be doing some different strategies as well, like the zero running back strategy I've seen become more and more popular. If you guys have anything else, again, hit some in the comments. Make sure you hit the like button, and I'll catch you guys next time.